Long before the stars went silent, humans were ignored. In the great halls of the galaxy, their name was spoken only in passing. Humans came from a small yellow star, far from major trade routes. Their planets were unstable. Their politics were loud and messy. Their emotions were considered a weakness. Most advanced species thought humans would not last. Archivist Talon searched deep into the old records to understand how such a small species became something the galaxy feared. What he found was not one great moment, but many small ones, ignored at the time. When humans first reached faster-than-light travel, they did not arrive as conquerors. They arrived as traders. Their ships were small. Their weapons were outdated. Their technology was borrowed and poorly understood. Other species laughed. Human merchants were charged unfair taxes. Human ships were searched again and again. Human colonies were pushed to the edges of space, given worlds others did not want: cold rocks, dry soil, dangerous storms. Humans accepted all of it. They worked. They learned. They adapted. On mining worlds where others failed, humans stayed longer. On stations with deadly radiation leaks, humans fixed problems without waiting for orders. They lost people, but they kept going. The galaxy saw this and thought it meant humans were weak. They were wrong. Talon reviewed a record from an early pirate attack. A human trade convoy was ambushed by a known raider fleet. The pirates expected easy prey. Instead, the humans did something strange. They rewired mining lasers into weapons. They used cargo drones as moving shields. They turned fuel tanks into traps. The pirates were destroyed. The report ended with a simple note from an alien observer. Humans fight like they build, using whatever is near, without fear of damage. Still, no one paid attention. In another system, a human colony was threatened by a local war between two older species. The planet had no value, so no fleet was sent to protect it. Humans were told to evacuate. They refused. Instead, they built shelters deep underground. They learned both alien languages. They negotiated while preparing defenses. When talks failed, they protected their cities with old ships and homemade shields. The war passed over the planet, costing the attackers more ships than expected. Afterward, both sides quietly signed peace agreements with the humans. Not out of respect. Out of confusion. Humans did not fit any model. They were not the strongest, not the smartest, not the most advanced, but they kept surviving situations that should have erased them. Talon read meeting notes from the Galactic Council. Humans were discussed many times. They are emotional. They are divided. They argue with themselves. They will destroy themselves soon. So the galaxy looked elsewhere. That was when humans grew dangerous. Denied access to top technology, they copied what they could find. Then they changed it. Human engineers did not aim for perfection. They aimed for function. If something worked, they used it, even if it was ugly, loud, or inefficient. Human ships became famous for one thing. They did not stop. Where other ships shut down to cool systems, human ships pushed harder. Where others waited for reinforcements, humans acted first. They paid the price in lives, but they remembered every lesson. One record showed a human rescue mission inside a collapsing space station. Other species refused to enter. The structure was unstable. Survival chance was low. Humans went in anyway. They saved hundreds of aliens. Only half returned. The galaxy praised their bravery, then moved on. Humans did not move on. They built stronger hulls, better suits, faster evacuation plans. Every loss became a blueprint. Slowly, quietly, human influence spread. Not through power, but presence. Human crews served on alien ships. Human doctors worked on foreign worlds. Human soldiers trained with species that once mocked them. They listened. They learned weaknesses, not to exploit, but to prepare. Then came the first real warning. A fringe alien empire attempted to enslave a human outpost. They expected surrender. Humans had no fleet nearby. What followed shocked everyone. The humans destroyed their own spaceport to deny landing access. Civilians escaped through tunnels built years earlier just in case. Old ships launched suicide runs that took out command vessels. By the time help arrived, the Empire's fleet was gone. No victory speech. No expansion. Humans rebuilt and stayed silent. From that moment, quiet notes began appearing in classified reports. Do not corner humans. They escalate. They do not forget. Still, the galaxy did not act. Talon closed the file and leaned back. The pattern was clear now. Humans were not ignored because they were harmless. They were ignored because they did not demand attention. They endured. And endurance, Talon realized, was far more dangerous than power. The galaxy had mistaken patience for weakness, and it would soon pay the price. Time moved on, as it always did. Wars ended. Borders settled. Trade returned to the stars. But the galaxy was no longer the same place it had been before humans stood alone. Archivist Talon knew this as he prepared his final record. Humanity was no longer new. Their ships were seen everywhere, not as invaders, but as familiar shapes in the dark. Some escorted trade convoys. Others explored deep space. Many carried no weapons at all, only scanners and hope. Human names began to appear on star maps, not as rulers, as reminders. This system was saved by humans. That world was rebuilt with humans. That moon survived because humans arrived first. Children of many species grew up hearing human stories. Not just tales of battle, but of choice, of standing firm, of helping when no one else would. In alien schools, history lessons changed. Once, humans were a footnote. Now, they were a chapter. Talon read accounts of mixed-species crews serving under human captains. Humans did not demand loyalty through fear. They earned it through trust. They listened to advice. They shared command. They accepted blame when things failed. That surprised many. Power usually hardened leaders. Human leaders remained human. They argued. They doubted. They mourned losses openly. And yet, when crisis came, they acted. A new threat appeared at the edge of the galaxy. Not an empire. Not a fleet. Something unknown. Something that consumed stars and left nothing behind. The council panicked. Old empires hesitated. They turned to humans. Not with orders. With a request. Human representatives listened. They asked questions. They demanded honesty. Then they agreed to help, but not alone. They called for cooperation. For the first time, fleets from dozens of species gathered under shared command. Humans did not lead from the front. They coordinated. They planned. They adapted as the threat changed. The enemy was stopped, not destroyed, contained. When asked why they did not wipe it out, a human commander answered simply, because survival is not about killing everything you fear. That answer spread faster than any battle report. Humanity's greatest change was not military. It was cultural. They shared ideas freely. Open networks replaced secret tech hordes. Medical advances spread across borders. Food production improved on worlds once facing famine. Some feared this made humans too powerful. Others saw the truth. Humans made the galaxy stronger so they would not have to stand alone again. Talon visited Earth through recorded visuals. A blue world, still divided, still noisy, still imperfect. Humans argued in councils just as aliens did. They struggled with inequality, loss, and memory. They had not become gods. They had remained people. That, Talon believed, was why the galaxy trusted them. In his final days, Talon reviewed one last message sent from a distant system. It was from a young alien explorer. "We met humans today," the message said. "They fixed our ship. They shared food. They warned us about dangers ahead. They asked nothing in return." Talon smiled. Legends were not statues. They were actions repeated again and again. Humanity never claimed the title of legend. Others gave it to them. And even then, humans kept moving forward, focused on the next problem, the next life that needed saving. As Talon closed the archive, he recorded his final words. "Humanity did not conquer the galaxy," he said. "They carried it when it was too heavy to bear." Outside, stars burned bright. Trade lanes pulsed with life. Worlds once silent now sang again. The galaxy remembered the day the stars went silent. But it would remember something else even longer. The day humans proved that strength was not measured by how much you take, but by how much you refuse to abandon. And somewhere among the stars, the legends of humanity were still being written. The Great War did not begin with humans. It began far from their space, between empires older than Earth's oceans. Ancient borders were crossed. Old treaties were broken. Fleets burned stars to prove strength. The galaxy shook, but humans were told not to worry. "You are too small," the messages said. "Stay out of this." Humans listened. At first, trade routes collapsed. Refugees flooded neutral systems. Food prices rose. Human colonies felt the pressure like everyone else. Still, they stayed quiet. They reinforced defenses. They trained crews. They stored supplies. They remembered history. Archivist Talon studied the moment everything changed. It started with a single world, Kepri's Fall, a neutral planet, rich only in life, not resources. No empire claimed it. No fleet protected it. Millions of civilians lived there. When war fleets approached, no one answered their calls for help. Except humans. The Human Council argued for days. They were not part of the war. They had no alliance duty. Sending ships would weaken their borders. In the end, the vote was not close. They went anyway. Human ships arrived at Kepri's Fall and formed a shield around the planet. They broadcast warnings. They offered evacuation help to anyone who would accept it. The invading fleet laughed. Humans had fewer ships, older weapons, no backup. The battle lasted 12 hours. Humans lost nearly half their fleet. But the planet survived. When the enemy finally retreated, human ships stayed. They repaired cities. They buried the dead, human and alien alike. News spread fast. Other neutral worlds sent messages. Quiet ones, desperate ones. Humans answered more often than they refused. That was when the offers began. Major alliances contacted humanity. They offered protection, advanced technology, safe borders. All with conditions. Join us. Submit command control. Stand down when ordered. Humans refused every offer. They would not trade one master for another. So they stood alone. As the war expanded, both sides began to see humans as a problem. Not enemies. Obstacles. Human fleets blocked paths. Human rescue missions pulled civilians out of planned attacks. Human supply ships kept neutral systems alive. Orders were given. If humans interfere, remove them. The first direct strike came without warning. A human defense group was ambushed near a refugee convoy. No message. No declaration. 3 human ships were destroyed in seconds. The survivors did not retreat. They charged. The battle recording showed something strange. Human ships moved unpredictably. They used debris as cover. They rammed larger vessels when weapons failed. Boarding teams fought through smoke and fire to disable engines instead of killing crews. They won. Barely. When the news reached human space, there was no celebration. Only silence. Then mobilization. Human shipyards went into full production. Civilian factories were converted. Farmers grew food for fleets. Scientists stopped arguing and started building. Not for conquest. For defense. The galaxy watched in disbelief as human space transformed. They had no massive empire, no ancient factories. But every citizen worked. Every failure was corrected fast. Designs changed daily. Human fleets grew smaller in number, but stronger in purpose. The next major test came at the Riven Gate, a narrow passage between sectors. Control of the gate meant control of supply lines. An entire alliance fleet moved to take it. Humans arrived first. Outnumbered 5-1. The alien commanders expected humans to delay, then retreat. They did not. Human ships locked the gate and powered down jump drives. There would be no escape. The message sent was short. This line holds. For 3 days, the battle raged. Human ships rotated crews without retreating. Damaged vessels stayed in formation, acting as shields. Medical ships flew into fire zones to pull out wounded pilots. When ammunition ran low, humans switched tactics. Drones became bombs. Wrecked ships became barriers. Fighters landed on enemy hulls to plant charges. By the 4th day, the gate was filled with debris. The Alliance fleet withdrew. The Riven Gate remained in human hands. From that moment, fear replaced doubt. Soldiers from other species began sharing stories. Humans who fought while bleeding. Engineers who fixed reactors during battle. Commanders who stayed behind to ensure others escaped. They do not break, one report said. They bend, then strike harder. Talon understood the truth as he closed the file. Humanity did not stand alone because they wanted to. They stood alone because they refused to abandon others. And the galaxy, for the first time, began to understand the cost of forcing humans to choose. Archivist Talon believed history was shaped by slow movement. Laws, trade, long wars. He was wrong. Sometimes, history changed in moments. After the battle at the Riven Gate, the galaxy no longer ignored humans. It watched them, studied them, feared them. That was when the collective archive created a restricted record. It was called the 10 Moments. 10 events that turned humanity from a rising power into a living legend. The first moment happened during the siege of Black Hollow. A massive enemy weapon, older than most stars, drifted toward a human-protected system. It could crack planets with a single shot. No fleet could stop it. Human commanders knew this. One human ship moved forward alone. It was not the largest, not the strongest. Its engines were already damaged. The captain sent a final message. Target locked. All power forward. The ship rammed the weapon at full speed. Reactors overloaded. Space bent. The weapon was destroyed. The human ship vanished. The system survived. The second moment was quieter. On a burning station filled with poison gas, a human marine held an access gate. Evacuation ships needed time. Enemies were pushing through. The marine's armor failed early. His breathing became hard. He stayed anyway. For 6 hours. When relief arrived, the gate was still closed. The marine was dead, standing upright, body locked in place by damaged armor. Behind him, thousands had escaped. The third moment shocked even human allies. A human artificial intelligence was given control of a battlefield. Victory was certain. The enemy fleet was trapped. Instead of destroying them, the AI opened a path. Later, when questioned, the AI answered simply. Threat neutralized. Excess death unnecessary. The enemy surrendered the next day. From that point on, rumors spread. Humans did not seek destruction, but they decided when it ended. The fourth moment came from a human doctor. A deadly plague hit a mixed-species world. No cure existed. Quarantines failed. Panic spread. The human doctor stayed behind while others fled. He tested treatments on himself. Again and again. He died twice, revived by human emergency tech. On the third attempt, the cure worked. The plague ended. The doctor survived, but never fully recovered. He returned to work 2 weeks later. The fifth moment was recorded by an enemy camera. A human pilot lost engines during battle. Her ship drifted toward a civilian habitat ring. Instead of ejecting, she rerouted all remaining power to steering. She crashed her ship into empty space, far from the station. The habitat survived. The pilot did not. By now, the galaxy had stopped calling these acts bravery. They called them inevitability. The sixth moment changed politics. During peace talks, an alien leader threatened to erase a human colony as leverage. The human representative listened in silence. Then he placed a data chip on the table. It contained full strike paths, fleet weaknesses, and internal secrets of the leader's empire. We do not threaten, the humans said. We prepare. The talks ended peacefully. The colony was never mentioned again. The seventh moment was one of pure survival. A human fleet was trapped in a collapsing star system. Escape routes failed. No help could reach them. Human engineers did not panic. They used ship hulls to build temporary gates. They burned entire fleets' worth of fuel in one jump. They lost ships, but saved most crews. The galaxy realized then that humans did not see limits the same way. Limits were problems. The eighth moment involved children. A human transport was attacked while carrying refugees. Shields failed. Time ran out. Human soldiers formed a living wall around the escape pods. Armor to armor. Body to body. They held until launch. Only half survived. The children lived. The ninth moment frightened everyone. An entire enemy fleet vanished. No wreckage. No energy trace. Later, humans released a statement. Containment complete. Weapon deactivated. Do not use again. They never explained how. No one asked twice. The 10th moment was not violent at all. After years of war, humans opened their borders. They invited former enemies to rebuild together. They shared food, medicine, and technology. Not as rulers, as neighbors. That confused the galaxy more than any weapon. Talon finished reviewing the record. His hands were still. 10 moments. Not chosen by humans. Chosen by those who watched them. The pattern was clear now. Humans did not become legends because they wanted to be feared. They became legends because, when every choice was bad, they chose to carry the weight themselves. And once the galaxy understood that, nothing could ever return to the way it was. The stars had always spoken. For millions of cycles, the galaxy listened to them. Light waves, gravity pulses, trade signals, war warnings. Everything moved. Everything sounded alive. No system was ever truly quiet. Silence meant death, and death was rare on a galactic scale. Until that day, at the edge of known space, Station Helios stood alone. It was old, built by a species that no longer existed. Now it belonged to the Collective Archive, a neutral group that watched history instead of changing it. Helios' task was simple, observe, record, and never interfere. Archivist Talon was on duty when the silence began. At first, it was small. One deep-range sensor stopped reporting. Then another. Then all of them. Talon leaned forward, his thin fingers tightening around the console. "That is not possible," he said to the empty room. Stars did not go silent together. Warning lights bloomed across the wall. Energy readings dropped to 0 across 12 nearby systems. No explosions. No debris. Just nothing. As if the galaxy had taken a breath and refused to let it out. Talon activated emergency logs. His voice shook as he began to record. Time mark 0. All long-range sensors disabled without cause. No known weapon matches this effect. Then the alarms changed tone. Something was coming. Not through hyperspace. Not through gates. It simply appeared. One moment empty space, the next filled with shadows. Massive shapes drifted into view. Ships. Hundreds of them. Their designs were unlike anything in the archive. Rough edges. Heavy armor. Burn marks left untouched, like scars worn with pride. The ships did not form a perfect pattern. They did not shine or glow. They moved slowly, calmly, as if they were already sure of the outcome. Talon felt fear sink deep into his core. He accessed the symbol scanners. None matched. No empire. No alliance. No known threat. Then the ancient station did something it had not done in 10,000 cycles. It spoke without command. A single word filled the room, echoing from walls, screens, and even the floor itself. Legend. Talon stumbled back. That protocol was erased, he whispered. Legend status was reserved for myths. For warnings passed down as stories, not facts. Creatures so rare or dangerous that even recording them risked panic. The station continued. Species identified. Origin, Sol system. Common name, humans. Talon froze. Humans? The name meant nothing. No great wars. No ancient threats. No god machines. Just a minor species listed as adaptable, emotional, and unstable. Marked as low to moderate risk. His eyes returned to the ships. Low risk did not erase stars. Across nearby systems, fleets scrambled. Messages flooded subspace, then vanished mid-signal. Captains shouted orders that never reached their crews. Weapons failed to lock. Shields flickered and died. Still, the human ships did not fire. They simply waited. On Helier Station, the historian screens began to autoplay old records. Events long buried, now rising without request. A human colony ship, burning, still pushing forward instead of turning back. A human doctor staying behind on an infected world, saving alien children who did not speak his language. A human fleet standing between a refugee moon and a devouring swarm, knowing there would be no rescue. Talon's breath grew shallow. "These are not battle records," he said. "These are sacrifices." The station replied, calm and cold. Human pattern recognized. Extreme response when survival threshold crossed. Probability of total war response, high. Outside, one alien fleet finally opened fire. Plasma beams cut through space, bright and desperate. They struck the nearest human ship. The ship did not dodge. The beam hit. Armor burned. Chunks broke away. The human ship kept moving. Then it answered. No loud blast. No flashing storm. Just a focused pulse of force that bent space itself. The alien flagship folded inward, crushed like thin metal. Its escorts vanished seconds later. The silence deepened. Talon watched as fleet after fleet pulled back. Some powered down weapons. Others turned away completely. Fear spread faster than any signal ever could. A transmission finally reached Helier Station. It was open, unencrypted, and simple. A human voice spoke. Calm. Tired. Very clear. This space is under human protection. Withdraw now. We do not wish to fight. Talon expected threats. Demands. Glory. There were none. But no one challenged the message. As the human fleets held position, the stars slowly began to speak again. Sensors flickered back to life. Systems stabilized. The silence retreated, but it did not fully leave. Talon knew the truth then. This was not an invasion. This was a warning. He finished his log with shaking hands. Humanity has arrived, he said. Not as conquerors, not as gods, but as something far more dangerous. He paused, then added the final line. They remember every time the galaxy looked away. And far beyond Helier Station, the legends of humanity were only beginning. Fear did not arrive loudly. It did not come with explosions or screams. It came quietly, through meetings held behind sealed doors and messages marked for leaders only. Across the galaxy, those who once laughed at humans now studied them in silence. Archivist Talon saw the change clearly in the records. Before, reports spoke of human losses, human limits, human mistakes. Now, reports asked one question again and again. What will the humans do? Old empires that once ruled entire sectors began to shift their fleets, not toward human space, but away from it. Borders were redrawn without battles. Colonies were abandoned simply because humans had shown interest nearby. Arrogance was gone. In its place was caution. The greatest proof came when three rival powers, enemies for thousands of years, held a secret meeting. They did not meet to plan conquest. They met to discuss humanity. Recordings showed tense rooms and trembling voices. They are not expanding, one leader said. But wherever they stand, we lose control. They do not demand tribute, said another. But our people listen to them. They fight only when forced, said a third. And that makes them unpredictable. The leaders agreed on one thing. Humanity could not be treated like any other species. Some suggested destroying them early, before they grew stronger. That idea died quickly. Every war simulation ended the same way. Even when humans lost, they took everything with them. Entire fleets vanished. Supply lines collapsed. Victory cost too much. So the galaxy chose another path. Appeasement. Trade deals once denied were now offered freely. Technology once restricted was shared. Old insults were erased from official records. Human diplomats watched all of this with calm eyes. They did not smile. They did not threaten. They remembered. In one system, an empire tried a different tactic. They praised humans in public, then secretly supported pirates to attack human supply routes. They believed humans would not trace it back. They were wrong. Human response was quiet and precise. Pirate bases were dismantled one by one. Financial networks collapsed. Hidden allies were exposed. Then a single message arrived at the empire's capital. We know, it said. Stop. The attacks ended that day. No war followed. The lesson spread. Do not test humans in the shadows. Fear also reached the soldiers. Alien troops who once charged without doubt now hesitated when human ships appeared. They remembered stories. Not of cruelty, but of endurance. A human ship would fight, even when burning. A human unit would hold ground even when surrounded. And worst of all, humans would remember faces. Talon read one battlefield account where an alien commander ordered retreat the moment humans joined the fight. When questioned later, the commander answered honestly. They will not stop, he said. And my soldiers know it. Still, humans did not claim power. They refused seats of control. They rejected titles offered by the council. They turned down demands to lead alliances. This confused everyone. Why refuse rule when it was handed freely? The answer appeared during a crisis on the edge of human space. A failing empire collapsed under its own weight. Its systems fell into chaos. Pirates moved in. Civilians suffered. The council asked humans to take control. Human leaders refused. Instead, they sent aid. Food. Medical ships. Engineers. Teachers. They helped rebuild local governments, then left. No flags planted. No tribute demanded. The galaxy watched in disbelief. Fear deepened. Because a species that does not want power, but can take it at any time, is the most dangerous of all. Within human space, the mood was different. There were no victory parades. No great statues. Names of the dead were read quietly, world by world. Human children grew up hearing stories, not of conquest, but of choices. Why they stood at Kepri's fall. Why they held the Riven Gate. Why they stood alone. Human commanders trained for defense, not domination. Human scientists worked on medicine as much as weapons. Human ships carried both cannons and rescue pods. They prepared for the future. Because they did not trust the galaxy to stay afraid forever. Talon realized something then. Fear was not what kept the galaxy stable. It was respect. And respect was fragile. In the final record of that era, a council member asked a dangerous question. What happens if humans decide we are the threat? The room fell silent. No answer was given. Because no one knew. Humanity had reshaped the galaxy without ruling it. They had broken empires without claiming their worlds. They had forced peace without demanding obedience. Arrogance had died. Fear had taken its place. But something deeper was growing beneath it. understanding. And for the first time in galactic history, the future did not belong to the oldest, the strongest, or the cruelest. It belonged to the ones who refused to look away.